on House Bill 1927 and specifically to express my opposition to the passage of that bill. I want to start out with some comments just saying that I want to be clear that this is not about the Second Amendment, it's not about Second Amendment rights, and it's not about people's right to lawfully carry a firearm. I'm very much in support of all of those things. But carrying a powerful weapon is also a responsibility, and the minimal training required for a license to carry under current law is crucial to public safety. It's reasonable and important to ask that someone carrying a firearm in public know how to safely handle and store a gun and have a basic awareness of the laws related to weapons and the use of deadly force. Stripping away those safeguards will make our streets less safe and will make law enforcement's jobs harder. My community is struggling with gun violence right now. While comparatively we continue to be one of the safest cities in the country, from 2015 to 2020, our department has seen a 124% increase in gun-related crimes. Just 2 weeks ago, I announced the launch of a violence intervention program targeting crimes involving firearms in response to the increase in the use of firearms in serious violent crimes, including shootings, murders, aggravated assaults, robberies, and other crimes. Guns are easier to obtain than ever before, and it has become more common for people to use them. Weakening regulations and effectively eliminating training requirements is not the direction that we should be going right now. Many members of the legislature have spoken a lot about law enforcement this session. I would ask that they listen to us when we say unequivocally that permitless carry will make your constituents less safe. There are several other chiefs here that are going to speak, and then we can take questions at the end.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Jimmy Perdue, and I'm the Chief of Police for the City of North Richland Hills, and I'm also serve as the first Vice President for the Texas Police Chief Association. I'm here today representing both my agency and the over 1,700 members of the TPCA to voice our opposition to Senate Bill 2224 as well as HB 1927. Both of these bills in their current form would eliminate the current reasonable license to carry permit process in favor of an unreasonable and unsafe permitless carry authority. Texas has a long history of a very successful license to carry process. The present law is very effective at balancing public safety interests while preserving the right to carry a weapon. A key part of this LTC permit process is training, where individuals must demonstrate a proficiency with the weapon and an understanding of the law. Both these bills would eliminate the training as well as repeal the requirements of passing a background check. In 2020, DPS denied 2,269 applications for LTC, which is only 1/10% of all the applications received. Said another way, the vast majority of people who applied got a permit. To claim that this process has somehow denied a law-abiding citizen from receiving a permit is just groundless. However, the process to prevent individuals with felony convictions, chemical dependency, convictions for family violence, and some adjudicated mental illness from obtaining a permit did occur. The current system works and should be kept in place and even evaluated for ways to prevent errors in approval from happening. To be clear, this is not a constitutional issue. It's a public safety issue. The Texas Constitution very clearly articulates the authority for the legislature to regulate the wearing of arms in our state. The founders that wrote our Constitution understood the importance of protecting the right to bear arms, but equally appreciated the public safety interest in giving the government the ability to regulate how that right is exercised. There is no conflict and no ambiguity in this language. And this is exactly what has been done through the LTC process and what should continue to be the law in the state of Texas. As police chiefs, we are responsible for the safety and security of each community that we serve, as well as the police officers we're lucky enough to work alongside with. Passage of this or any bill that supports the elimination of the current LTC process would have a direct negative impact on the ability of our officers to do their jobs. It would also not make our communities safer, but it would instead make them less so because of the impact on public safety and the introduction of more weapons across our state. We, as police chiefs, as well as the Texas police chiefs, are opposed to the bill in its current form and believe its passage would bring harm to our communities and reduce the safety of our officers. The Texas police chiefs join with the others gathered here today to oppose SB 2224 and any bill designed to eliminate the LTC process and make more guns available to the public. Thank you very much.
Morning. I'm not a chief of police. My name's Kevin Lawrence. I'm the executive director of the Texas Municipal Police Association. We represent over 30,000 cops across the state of Texas. I'm also the chairman of trustees for the Texas Fraternal Order of Police, which includes the Houston Police Officers Union, the Dallas Police Association, the Harris County Deputies Organization. So altogether, we're speaking on behalf of over 55,000 cops across the state. And I hope you will notice something. On at least a half a dozen other bills over the next few weeks, we will be disagreeing with the chiefs on all kinds of issues. But we're standing here today with the chiefs. And a couple of weeks ago, we were out here with the sheriffs from Harris County and Fort Bend County and with the DPS Officers Association because we're all opposed to this change in public policy for a very simple reason. And as the chiefs have both mentioned, we are not opposed to law-abiding Texans carrying handguns. We are absolutely in favor of that. We have been ever since license to carry was passed back in the 1990s. TMPA, I believe, was the only group of law enforcement that actually supported that bill, and it's worked very well. What's the problem we're trying to solve with this public policy right here? The vast majority of Texans don't want it. There's a very small, very vocal advocacy on the far right that is pushing for this, but if you put it to a referendum, it would not pass. What's the problem we're trying to solve? The system we have works very well. You want to tweak it, that's great. Now the advocates of it will point to other states. They'll say, well, other states have done this and it's been successful. So we asked. There's actually 16 states that already have this in effect. We reached out to the Fraternal Order of Police trustees at those states. Now, I will grant you, I just started that process 48 hours ago. So far, I've heard back from 4 states, and they're all very consistent. What has happened is their crime rates have gone up, though they grant you that may be subject to other matters as well. Their license to carries have gone down. Their applications for license to carries have gone down, and the jobs of their law enforcement officers have become exponentially more difficult and more dangerous. And that's why we're here. Shifting this process of vetting who should and should not be allowed to carry a gun in public from an administrative process in advance to the beat cop is bad public policy. It's bad for public safety, and that's why we're opposed to these bills. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Michael Mata, and I'm president of the Dallas Police Association. But my number one job, the job I'm most proud of, is I am a street cop for the city of Dallas, the citizens of Dallas, and the citizens of the state of Texas. And I'm here to talk about these 2 bills. All across the nation, all across the state, in all of the communities, we talk about police reform. These bills will only make it harder for the everyday officer to do their job. It will only make it less safe on the streets of every major city across this state. We need good legislation, and this legislation is not one of them. This is going to make that everyday officer who answers those family violence calls, it's going to make their job 10 times harder and more dangerous than it presently is. We already have good, solid bills and laws on the books. Recreating this is only going to make it harder. We are asking for the help of the citizens. We are asking for the help of legislators to bring our communities back together, the law enforcement community and the citizens we serve, by passing and creating good law enforcement bills. This is not one of them. Thank you.
That was all the people that are going to speak today. I didn't know if there were any questions that any of us can answer.
Have you spoke to the governor about this?
I know that the associations have been in contact with the governor's office, including the lieutenant governor, to offer suggestions on how to improve the bill, but we're still very concerned with the way that the bill reads today.
How can the
think right now there is an assumption by officers, if they see someone that is openly carrying, that they have gone through the license to carry process, that they have been vetted, that they have been trained, and that they understand the laws and the safe handling of firearms. When you strip that away and take away those safeguards or guardrails, per se, it's going to make it more difficult for officers to make those kind of assumptions and judgments. It's tough enough that we ask our officers to do that every day in lots of different ways. By introducing firearms into those kind of assumptions, it just makes it very, very hard for our officers, much harder than it is today.
Is there someone that gets on to us in Spanish?
I can talk to you
After?
afterwards. All right. Thank you all very much.